Now, I would remind you as parents, we started with godly men and godly women and the outgrowth of that. Parenting is a biblical assignment. It's not for your fulfillment. It's not primarily to fulfill your dreams. We have made it a bit perverse. We've allowed parenting, and it's infected the church almost as deeply as it has the secular culture, to imagine it's something about our own gratification. We refer to the children as if they're ours, and I'm not suggesting that's inappropriate, but ultimately God said, I knew them before you saw them. I have a plan for them, he said. I knew them when they were being knit together in their mother's womb. We may contribute some genetic material, but God is the one who's the author and the completer of their stories. And parenting, from a biblical standpoint, is the ultimate train and release program. In Mark 10, I suspect you know it. It says, at the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. He hasn't redesigned the system. I'm going to continue to say that because it's under such significant assault. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife. The two will become one flesh, so they're no longer two but one. Parents, the system is designed, they're leaving. There'll be times along the journey you'll think, not soon enough. In fact, you may start reading that to them as their life verse. But the purpose of parenting, it's a sacred trust for a season. Our assignment is to do everything we can to prepare them to succeed beyond us. In Proverbs 22 and verse 6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he's old, he will not depart from it. Train up a child in the way he should go. It's impossible to train without effort, without discipline, and without expectations. I've had a variety of trainers in my life, some physical trainers, some who were designed to coach me with a variety of physical skills or abilities. And I can tell you, I never had a trainer that was particularly interested in being my friend. In fact, they always seemed to find some joy in the fact that I would be agitated with them, accuse them of being unfair. My trainers had no interest in equitable things. I had one trainer for a while that was trying to get me in better condition. He would give me a course to run, and he would follow me in his car. That's wrong. But he wasn't the one in training, I was. It's a really helpful image. Trainers are not always in a friendly posture, because a good trainer will require effort of you that you would not make in their absence. Isn't that the nature of the relationship? So when Proverbs says to us, train your children, your engagement with them goes beyond friendship or camaraderie or mutual appreciation or the perception that everything you're saying is kind. Inherent in that bargain, in that description, is an awareness of a preferred future for them that they may not even understand for themselves. And you will encourage the discipline necessary for them to be their best. Now, lest you think I'm just talking about you and us as physical parents, God said He disciplines those He loves. And that if we're not disciplined, we're illegitimate children. You can check, it's Hebrews 12. It's not in your notes, but it really is in the book. Which means God has expectations for you and me higher than ones that we would bring for ourselves. We're probably pretty much content to say, look, I want to go to heaven. I don't want to go to the option. And beyond that, we'll just play it out. And God said, no, I created you with a purpose. I've sent my Spirit into the earth to work with you, to strive with you, to convict you, to direct you. And the Spirit of God will call you to places that you and I would never go by ourselves. Remember the context: godly men, godly women, godly husbands, godly wives, godly parents. You see, God will make your life better. If you're a good teacher without God, you're a better one with God. If you're a good surgeon without God, you're a better one with Him. God's not going to diminish your life. God is at work in restoring us, bringing us to better places. And to do that, He puts us into training. And secondly, I would submit that God works through us. I like this one. The biblical term for that is intercession, but I think we frequently think of intercession as a form of prayer. And I think that's far too narrow of an understanding of what the Bible presents to us as intercession. In Matthew 15, there's a story of intercession. A Canaanite woman comes to Jesus crying out, "Son of David, have mercy on me." It's an interesting phrase. Demons use that phrase with reference to Jesus. The high priest won't. Most of the religious power brokers won't. This Canaanite woman, she has no covenant connection with him. She doesn't keep kosher. She doesn't keep any of the rules. But she recognizes Jesus in the terms that identify him as a part of that covenant. So she's it's a bizarre, it's almost unimaginable. "Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is suffering terribly from demon possession." But Jesus didn't answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, "Send her away. She keeps crying out after us. She's a nuisance." She's nuts. And Jesus said, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel." You understand that's politically incorrect. Jesus just said, "I'm not here to help her." She does not get an appointment. And the woman came and knelt before him, "Lord, help me." And he replied, "It's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs." Yes, he did. And she's not offended. You see, she's desperate enough to secure help for her daughter that she will overcome a slight. She's not yielding to rejection. Remember, we said one of the components of God's restoration is that it requires of us oftentimes desperation. So God at work through us sometimes brings us to desperate places. "Yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." And Jesus answered, "Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted." And her daughter was healed. "Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted." If she'd been offended, if she'd come in demanding her rights, if she had been unhappy with the circumstances of the discussion, she would have missed everything. A lot of the permissions being handed out right now are permissions to imagine yourself victimized by someone, somewhere, somehow. And if you accept the permissions, there's a high degree of probability you'll miss what God has for you. I like Hebrews 10. It gives us several ways to imagine intercession. And they're introduced to us with this group invitation: let us do something. Let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. That's intercession. How can we encourage one another towards love and good deeds? This is not just my decision or just your decision. The biblical instruction is how can we encourage one another to do the right things? And it's actually a little stronger than just encourage, how we can spur one another on. Have you ever ridden a horse? Anybody here? I don't mean a pony tied to a walker. I mean like 1,000 pounds plus of angry energy. Did you have spurs on? Did you lean into them? If you did, you will get a reaction. Living horses, when spurred, respond. Dead ones, not so much. But if you're alive, they will move. And that's the imagery here to a group of people very familiar with horses as a means of transportation. It says, spur one another on. That's intercession. See, we're living in a time where I would submit to you, it's very important that we practice this. We encourage, come on, what are you doing? There's so many ways our faith is waning, and I don't mean within the community here, but in a much broader way. But he's not done there. The author of Hebrews in verse 25, let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing. He's acknowledging stepping away from church didn't just start with live stream. It's an issue in the first century. Let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another.
We were young, wild and free, chasing dreams by the sea, echoes of a distant melody, in the nights just you and me. Photographs and shades of gold, stories that we've never told, memories that never grow old. In this heart they're always bold. Time moves on, but we stay here, in the moments crystal clear, echoes of the yesteryear. In our hearts we hold them.
Encourage one another to what? Community. All the more as you see the day approaching, the day of the Lord's return. Intercession means we use our voice, our energy, our influence to help one another do the things that we've agreed on are healthy for our lives and our faith. We have been coached to become passive. You don't want to be judgy? Well, just who do they think they are? I went to church last week. I endured that. He talked for 45 minutes. I grew up, we had 20-minute sermons, so I think I'm good for 2.5 weeks. No more church. It says, spur one another on towards love and good. Nobody's going to tell me what I'm supposed to. Oh, we got to help one another. Intercession. We've made it into this fuzzy kind of a prayer. Well, I have a spirit of intercession. Well, bless you. I believe in that. I believe God gives people a spirit to pray for other people. But intercession isn't just about prayers in your private, isolated prayer closet. Intercession says, come on, we're going to do the best, Barry. I've watched you build ramps for lots of people that needed a ramp in their home. And I've seen you take some other young men and help them learn to do that and show them the value of that. We're talking about what can we do in the face of blatant expressions of evil and darkness and dishonesty and manipulation and propaganda. We can start to live our faith and say to one another, we will not be silent. Amen. We have been silent in the face of wickedness and darkness and dishonesty. We're going to have to change. I'm stunned at Christians, and I say Christian in the generic term of that. Christian churches that will declare themselves to be orthodox and then blatantly push forward worldviews and practices that have nothing to do with Orthodox Christianity. It's deceptive, it's deceitful, it's dishonest, it's a lie. Don't be a part of that. But you need the next verse. In the context of spurring one another on, of continuing to meet together, of encouraging one another, verse 26 says, if we deliberately keep on sinning, after we have the knowledge of the truth, there's no sacrifice for sins left, but only the fearful expectation of judgment and of raging fire that will consume the enemies of God. You see, we have advocated kind of a sloppy grace. This God of infinite grace and infinite mercy. Folks, if God had infinite grace, if His grace was without end, if His mercy was without end, there would be no hell. There would be no judgment. There would have been no flood. There would have been no Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem. There would have been no Assyrians that conquered Israel. There would have been no Philistines that were plaguing people in the days of Samson or Midianites bothering them in the days of Gideon. All of those things are expressions of the reality that God's mercy and grace have limits. And so the encouragement we're given is to intercede with one another. Come on, we know the way to go. We know the right place to stand up. We know the thing to say. We know that's wrong. Now let's go do the right thing. Why? Because if we persist in going that way, if we deliberately keep on sinning, we will face judgment. You cannot practice sin as a matter of habit and imagine you will escape the consequence.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Hit the bell for notifications. If you want to, leave a comment.